All right, so this video is for gun owners in Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, and Tennessee. And we just wanted to shoot this video. This is my brother Aaron, who runs a bunch of different other state gun rights organizations. And of course, I'm Chris Dorr. We wanted to shoot this video and talk with you all really quickly, just for a couple of minutes, about Pam Bondi, who is the current Republican nominee for Attorney General. Yeah, after a couple of after an attempt to try to get Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General, which would have been fantastic because this is a guy who knows what time it is. The system that tried to destroy President Trump tried to destroy him, and he would have brought that into the Attorney General's office. Sadly, that nomination was blocked by several rhinos. Who were they, Aaron? You
got McConnell, you got Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and this new idiot from Utah who replaced Mitt Romney. I forget his name, but they're saying he could be even worse than Mitt Romney was. There's something wrong in the water in Utah.
No kidding. They pick very poor U.S. senators out there. Well, actually, they got Mike Lee. He's arguably top 5 in the U.S. Senate. But anyway, those several rhinos blocked Matt Gaetz. And so now Trump has had to go to the B-level tier, and he has selected Pam Bondi, who is the current Attorney General of Florida. Now, we firmly believe that
she was under Rick Scott. She's a lobbyist now, I think. So.
Oh, okay. I guess I did not know that.
Yep.
But anyway, this is America's top cop. And for those of us who have been alive during well, we could go back a little ways here, right? The Janet Reno years.
Yeah.
Under Bill Clinton. You had Eric Holder under Obama. These people, the radical left has weaponized the Attorney General's position against the American people, against patriots, against gun owners for years and years and years. And it's time that we do to them what they've done to us. That's why we were very much looking forward to Matt Gaetz. But we're taking a look at Pam Bondi here, and we are seeing all kinds of bad stuff about her. Stuff that really raises the red flag for us. It's no secret that gun owners kind of got the shaft for 2 years in 2017 and 2018 when we had the majorities in Congress. We don't want to repeat that kind of do-nothing attitude. We certainly don't want to let somebody who is a radical gun grabber into that position to aid and abet the radical left. So, Aaron, you want to kick us off when it comes to her, some of the crap that she stands for?
Background here is 2018 in Florida after the Parkland, Florida school shooting. And so Rick Scott, the governor at that time, pushes through a massive gun control package in Tallahassee. And so people have said, well, did Pam Bondi support the boss's agenda? Because sometimes you have to do that. Or did she actually mean it? But what Pam Bondi did is jumped all over Fox News to blow up her own name ID and loudly defended Rick Scott's entire gun control agenda. We have clips here, Chris. You can go through whenever you want to, but it was bad. It was red flags, waiting periods, raising the age on gun sales, bump stock bans, everything we've heard from the Democrats in Congress for the last 2 years.
Yeah, let's listen to this first one here.
Mental health, which is huge. It has a gun violence restraining order in there. It raises the age of purchasing an assault rifle to 21, and it's banning bump stocks.
I just get sick and tired when I hear people use the terminology of the radical left. Gun violence, she talked about that. Mental health. The mental health is the umbrella by which the left, the Democrats, and some of these rhino Republicans have tried to ram gun control and law. She is adopting all of their terminology. Kind of pisses me off. So what's this next clip we have here?
Well, I think some people thought that maybe, because somebody asked me that on a radio show last week, well, maybe Pam didn't really mean it. Maybe she didn't really mean red flags the way we mean it. This next clip is a full minute and 5 seconds long of her just doubling and tripling down on the need for red flag guns. It's just terrible stuff.
Yeah, from her own mouth. So guys, listen to this.
Now, that's a comprehensive approach. I got it. And that's what you're about to do that. Now, there are 24 states that are pushing bills that would allow for guns to be taken away from people who are judged mentally unfit. Now, I don't know whether Florida is one of those states, but what do you think about that kind of move?
Well, here's what we're doing in Florida, because we have to have due process, of course, for those who have been civilly committed. And my office, we've done all the legal research, and here's what our proposal is in Florida. It's called the Gun Violence Restraining Order. And so, Stuart, if you're civilly committed, in Florida it's called a Baker Act, what will happen is law enforcement can and should automatically remove any firearms, because that shows you're a danger to yourself or others when you're civilly committed. Then after someone is released from civil commitment, law enforcement will have 72 hours to go before a judge and ask the judge if they choose to hold those guns even longer if they feel that the person is, again, a threat to themselves or to others.
Yeah, that's not... She tried to wrap red flag gun confiscation in a bunch of Baker Act terminology, and she used... She tried to make it sound like there was due process in there, but what they were very clear about is they're going to come in and take the guns without you ever being charged, tried, or convicted of a crime. Wasn't that your takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, there's two funny points. There you have this host who says after people are judged incompetent. That's not the case. That's the whole freaking point. Red flag laws allow our guns to be taken away before there's been a charge filed, let alone a conviction received in court. So that's number one for me. And then number two was what Bondi said there at the very end. Even after a person has been released, we're going to go out there and let law enforcement grab their guns. I think a lot of people are okay with somebody who has been put into an institution after due process, after a court of law. That's one thing. Nobody wants a criminally deranged person walking around armed, but that's not what we're talking about here. The red flag laws in Florida are not Baker Act alone red flags. They are straight up initiated by people and by the police against the citizens. And Matt Gaetz is the one who's telling all of America about that.
Yeah, in fact, he's documented his congressional office back when he was still a congressman. His congressional office, as he testified before a congressional committee, said that this has been used by over 10,000 times already in Florida against gun owners. So, and keep in mind, folks, this is the same red flag gun confiscation that we have successfully blocked and stopped in Ohio and in Pennsylvania and in North Carolina. And in Tennessee as well. So this is nasty stuff. And of course, everybody's watching us in Florida right now knows very good and well about it. We've gotten lots of disaster stories from people who have had these things used against them in child custody court, divorce court, and things like that. So this is it's kind of a red alert. It's really a red alert. And if you kind of think back to the time when President Trump was sitting there in the White House, and this is before we met with the White House with his policy staff, when he was sitting there saying, "Take the guns, no, let's do due process." Okay, and we have never allowed, or we've never stood by and let them try to take huge whacks at our Second Amendment without and to deprive somebody of their firearms without adjudication, which is conviction of a felony. That's the standard for taking away somebody's guns. So,
well, Chris, we don't have the clip here today, but when Trump was saying that, he was looking and speaking to Pam Bondi.
Yes,
it was a specific conversation with Pam Bondi, and that's the problem we have here. We have all these rhino pieces of trash who are tucked inside of that Senate Republican conference right now. You have your McConnells, you have your Murkowskis, your Collinses, and whatever else, Joni Ernst from Iowa. And if something terrible, tragic happens under Trump's tenure in terms of a mass shooting, and it just seems like they happened a lot more under Trump when he was in the White House versus the last couple of years. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how that happens.
Coincidence.
If that happens again over the next 4 years, we're going to have we have the rhinos in the Senate who already helped Biden pass a red flag funding bill. And then if Pam Bondi is confirmed, we're going to have an attorney general at the federal level who is fully embracing these red flag laws. It's a bad cocktail to get into, especially because all she wants to do, she says, is find common ground with the people who want to disarm every single one of us.
Screw that. And that's not what Americans voted for on November 5th of 2024. They want somebody to go up there and freaking take this country back. You don't do that by having rhino pieces of trash like Pam Bondi as your attorney general. So, I was talking to a gun owner yesterday, and their question to me was, well, shouldn't we just like rubber stamp these things and get on about the business of getting the Trump administration underway? And I'm like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of our side. Gun owners have been treated so unfairly. Honestly, 2017, 2018, Republican control of Congress and the White House we got nothing, while every other voting demographic got huge rewards for storming the polls in 2016. I am sick and tired of the corrupt, degenerate rhinos like Murkowski and all these people, the Romneys of the world, and the Joni Ernsts of the world, them being able to say that we have to compromise on our standards. I'm sick and tired of it. I wish Trump would hold a firmer line on this, but this is our opportunity to stop this from happening. So we don't like the fact that this woman has the nomination, but here's where we can start to turn up the pressure on her. And it's going to take some courage for a couple of Republicans here. So we're asking everybody to reach out now. We've got brand new senators in Ohio and in Pennsylvania, Republican senators that have direct lines to President Trump, especially. So we are urging you guys to hit the contact information that's included with this video and get in touch with your U.S. senators, your Republican members. Honestly, the Democrats were our lost cause on this, but get in touch with them and tell them to vote hell no on this woman. We don't need a gun grabber in there. What was that other thing, Aaron, that you wanted to discuss about Pam Bondi? Because I thought this was very important.
Yeah, before I do that, I just want to clarify, to add on to your point. When people are telling their senators to oppose Pam Bondi, it's not challenging Trump's decision. Trump has been put in this position because the Republicans in the Senate have rejected his nominee in Matt Gaetz. So we're on down to the tier 2 level quality nominees right now. So they're the ones who put Trump in this position, and they have to now get him out of it insofar as Pam Bondi is not good on gun rights.
And honestly, there's some obvious and easy, better alternatives here. You got Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey.
Right.
You've got Paxton from Texas. These are very obvious choices for Attorney General that would be far better than Pam Bondi is. So,
and they're guys who've been fighting against the feds for the last 4 years. We never saw Pam Bondi lift a finger against the Obama White House. In fact, what we had when she was the Attorney General and we had old B-Rock in the White House in Florida, we had the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman situation happen in Sanford, Florida. And if you were around at that time, you remember that was the biggest gun rights issue of the year for sure in Florida. And it became the biggest gun rights issue in America at that time. You've got this guy, this young black male who attacked a young Hispanic male. There was no real racial issues here at all. And it was clearly a case. Huh?
Yeah, but the Zimmerman was white, though. That's what they tried to tell everybody.
Yeah. But so Zimmerman ends up shooting Trayvon Martin, and the case was investigated by local law enforcement. Standard practice. They found nothing illegal and did not want to bring any charges against him. And then the national media got a hold of this. Then Barack Obama tells the world, I believe it was in the State of the Union address, that George Zimmerman or that Trayvon Martin could be my son. He reminds me of me. And then Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton hop on a plane, fly to Sanford and say the cops are racist, the government's racist, everybody's a racist. And so what happens? Governor Scott and Pam Bondi remove the prosecutor who was investigating the case, and they put somebody else in there from the AG's office in Florida to do the investigation. And you know damn well for sure that when you're brought in as the replacement AG attorney, you're there to find a way to bring a charge. And they did. And so thankfully, Zimmerman won in court. He was cleared of this case in court. But to me, when you see Pam Bondi use the authority that she had, not for justice, not to uphold right and wrong and defend, the right actions of this guy, but try to ruin him, try to put him in prison for the rest of his days just to please the media, the hucksters like Sharpton and Jackson and Obama. That's a very big danger sign in my mind as to how she would act as our U.S. Attorney General.
Yeah, certainly. It's kind of crazy to me as I sit here and think about all this stuff from about 2012. It was Congressman Matt Gaetz, and he and I were talking about this a couple of years ago, probably 2 years ago now. He was actually in the state legislature back then when Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, all these people were roaming the halls there in the Florida legislature office building, and they were knocking on his door and demanding that they have meetings with him. And he's like, sure, come on in. Let's talk about it. I am willing to discuss everything, but we are not going to change one jot or tittle in our stand your ground law. And that's why I was so excited about having Matt Gaetz as the attorney general. The man was unflappable against these radical leftist degenerates. But
the comparison is amazing. You got one guy, like you said, Chris, who stands like a stud and says, I don't care what Rick Scott says. I don't care what Pam Bondi says. I don't care what Al Sharpton says. We're not going to roll back stand your ground law, because Scott commissioned a study group to look at repealing Florida's stand your ground law in wake of this. That was her reaction. That was Gaetz's reaction. And Pam Bondi, the exact opposite, falls all over herself and try to put an innocent man in prison to placate the screaming leftist hordes.
Yeah, and honestly, this is just to go a little bit deeper. This is why we weren't so excited about having Rick Scott, who is now the senator from Florida. We were not excited about him becoming the Senate Majority Leader, because this guy obviously has a proven track record supporting gun control as well. So, folks, this is the nasty underbelly of Pam Bondi. And just to be clear, there's time here still to get this right. So a lot of you are sitting here asking yourself, my goodness, Trump wants this lady. Let's just give Trump what he wants. You know what? Right. We saw a lot of bad appointments last time around. We saw how bad that affected this country. You had people like Fauci, who was allowed to stay in there. You had Bill Barr. You had these people that totally crippled the administration. We don't want that again. No. We can't afford that again. We need to get these cabinet positions right, especially when it comes to America's top cop. So I'm asking you guys to click the link with this video. Maybe it's a phone number, whatever the contact information is. We're asking folks to contact your Republican U.S. senators and tell them to start asking these questions when they have their conversations. A lot of them are flying down to Mar-a-Lago right now and having personal meetings with President Trump about his cabinet positions. Tell them to ask President Trump about this stuff. We don't need a gun grabber. There's a lot of questions about this woman. She's very clearly not a saint when it comes to gun rights. She's got a lot of trash and nasty history on her. So please take a moment. Let's crank up the pressure here a little bit. See if we can flush her out of the system.